My college preparation program did not prepare me for that. I am Tamara Hancock. I am a high school English teacher, and you have asked me, what did my college preparation program prepare me for teaching in the classroom, and what did it not? This is Q&A with Mrs. H. So first I need to explain just a little bit. I am a re-careered teacher, meaning I originally went to college for my bachelor's degree in strategic management and leadership. What this means is I spent 16 years in the corporate space before I even entered the classroom. When I went into my college preparation program, I was a teacher and I was already in the classroom. So my experience is going to be a little bit different than somebody who's going in with a bachelor's degree, but there still are a lot of similarities. The first complaint that most teachers have coming out of a teacher preparation program is the lack of practical classroom experience. We go through a lot of information when it comes to theory, when it comes to multilingual learners, when it comes to preparing for a lesson or creating a lesson plan. But when you're actually in the space of teaching, all of that stuff in theory doesn't always work out the way that they teach you that it's going to. I'm going to say it probably never works out the way that they teach you that it's going to. For me, I was in the classroom while going through this program. So I was teaching on what's called an intern certificate or a secondary type of certificate. I was not teaching on a full teaching certification. What I did have was a bachelor's degree in business management and strategic leadership and a minor sort of in English. So I was qualified to teach English and capable of teaching English. I just did not have any of the practical or lesson planning experience or any of that that comes with a traditional teacher's program. I was in the thick of teaching with a classroom full of, I started with freshmen, honestly. So I had to learn on the fly how to manage that classroom. This is actually very similar to student teachers or students who've gone through a bachelor's degree program. They get sent in to do student teaching for the last semester of their program. Student teaching can be extremely helpful because you actually see or manage a classroom setting, but depending on who your mentor teacher is, that'll vary widely on how much you're actually preparing for the lesson, teaching the lesson, managing the classroom, or doing any of those things. You're kind of treated in some situations like an aide and less like a teacher. I've seen very many situations where student teachers have come in and the classroom management teacher has told them, hey, this is your classroom, this is what you get to do, I'm just here to answer questions. That is ideal, but that doesn't always happen. Second thing that I would say a lot of teachers complain about is that we don't get a lot of practical experience when it comes to the day-to-day paperwork or management of being a teacher. For me, the difficulty was managing or learning how to use our student information system platform, which was Synergy. I had a mentor teacher, but they didn't really teach me that either. We didn't really go through Synergy. I had to seek out help to understand how to manage my gradebook, post my grades, figure out the different weights on what different things were supposed to be worth. I didn't have any of that experience. And in my teacher preparation program that I went through as a master's degree student, we didn't touch any of that either. I think that that master's program assumed that we knew some of that information already. But the one thing that I've always had difficulty with in every district that I've gone into is it's just assumed that you're going to understand how to use the teacher information system program and how to set up your grade book and manage the systems the way that they want you to. In my current district, I actually was given a guidebook, which is about 250 pages of how to use the student information system. However, a lot of the features that are in the guidebook are not features that my district has enabled, so it was kind of difficult. I would actually suggest that you find a veteran teacher and sit down with them and say, hey, could you please help me to figure out how to use the student information system? I've used, in my career, I've used 3, I've used Schoology, I've used PowerSchool, and I've used Synergy, all 3 of which have their own little quirks. So using one doesn't necessarily mean that you can jump into another. Classroom management and managing behaviors. This is something that my teacher preparation program went through, but it didn't necessarily, it wasn't helpful. It's not something that actually worked in the real space. The reason why I say this is because while I did have an entire class that focused on classroom behaviors, management systems, different ways to get student attention, things like that, we were all adults. And so when the teacher would use one of those call and responses, or they would try to use one of those classroom management tools to calm down the group of students, we were all very well into our 30s and 40s, and we had no problem responding to that. We were not a group of 14-year-old freshmen who have friends and games and phones and a whole bunch of different distractions. And also, we were there interested in what was happening. And like it or not, most of the students in the classroom are not all 100% going to be interested and focused on what you're trying to teach them. So the practical experience of it, they gave us all of these ideas, but the practical experience of it, not necessarily something that was helpful in the real world. In my classroom, because again, I was teaching in the classroom while I was working through this program, I tried to implement some of these things, and my students were not super thrilled about that. One of the things that I was able to do is I sat with my students and we talked it out, and I asked them, what is it that I can do to focus your attention if you guys have lost attention, or how do we get everybody back in? And I actually put them in charge of finding ways to manage that classroom behavior, and that actually worked out a lot better than anything that we had tried in the program. Educational theory over educational practice. We spent a lot of time in my teacher preparation program going over the different educational theories like Maslow, Bloom, different ways that we learn, different focuses on how the brain works or how students engage in information. We looked into all of these theories, many of which were quite old, actually. Many of the theories that I learned, educational theories, were psychological theories and things that had been studied years ago. There was a lot of focus on these are the theories you can use in the classroom. There was very little focus on how to actually implement and teach. Because the thing is all of these educational theories are helpful, and understanding how a student learn is definitely something that is helpful. Not every student learns the same way. Not every student sitting in your classroom is going to find or grasp onto each educational theory. So I'm not going to have a room full of 40 kids who all have a theory that works for them. In the teacher preparation program, everything is idealistic, right? They're like, you can use this auditory learning pattern and all of your students will focus on it and do well. That will never happen. So getting all of the educational theories and understanding them is one thing, but in the preparation program, in practice, we only practiced using one theory at a time. As a teacher, you are definitely going to need to understand how to focus on multiple learning abilities, multiple learning theories, multiple learning levels for every student, and you need to be able to do that on the fly, in the moment. That's definitely not something that I was prepared for. Again, my teacher preparation program was a little bit different than everybody else's because I was in the classroom at the same time as learning. So for me, it was quite easy or helpful. I wouldn't say easy, actually. I would say it was quite helpful for me to be experiencing in the classroom and then taking the things that I was getting in practice or in theory and aligning them together. That was something that worked well for me. If you're somebody that's thinking about recareering as a teacher, I would definitely look into any of these teacher preparation programs that are master's degrees that allow you to go through the theory of teaching while still being in the classroom. In the state of Arizona, which is where I teach, I was able to get an intern certificate, which allowed me to be in the classroom with the supervision of a mentor teacher. They weren't in my classroom with me, but they were a mentor teacher on my campus that was assigned to be there for me if I had questions while going through the theory and the master's degree program. I did learn a lot of really helpful things in my program, don't get me wrong. I'm thankful for the opportunity. And actually, in my state, because we had such a teacher shortage, the state actually paid for my teacher preparation program, which was amazing. I had the master's degree, and then I just had to commit for teaching the same number of years that I was in the program. So I was in the program 2 years. I had to commit for teaching for 2 more years. So that's like a 4-year commitment to get the master's degree, and I didn't have to pay for it, which was phenomenal. It worked out really well for me. We're looking at becoming a teacher, moving from another career to a teaching career, definitely look into some of these teacher preparation programs. In Arizona, it's called the Arizona Teachers Academy. There are a couple of other things. I got my master's degree through Arizona State University, and I know that there are other colleges, universities even community colleges out there that have programs like this. I'm not really sure in some of the other states. I do know that there are teacher preparation programs that your state will pay for. I would just look into that and see if it exists. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy being in the classroom. I enjoy being part of helping students find the world around them and understanding the world around them. That is why I teach. That is why I am where I am. I will continue to teach. I'm not going to be leaving my career or my profession anytime soon. If you are somebody who's looking to get into teaching out of a regular career or a different career, and you are looking to re-career into teaching, if you have questions, comments, concerns, if you wanted to just, drop your comments below, let me know, and I will see if I can answer those. These are the things that my teacher preparation program did not prepare me for. What questions do you have? Do you want to know things that it did prepare me for? Do you have any other questions about teaching, re-careering, or becoming a teacher straight out of college? Let me know. And again, like, comment, subscribe, do all of the things, and I'll see you next time.